Hello everyone, DeckTrolls here. Today I have for you my vampire deck. Now I used to have a different version, but vampires kind of changed the way they worked after a new set came out. Not recently, but they're more life point spam based. They used to be more about a direct attacks, but this is a remade version, so here we go. Got 3 Vampire Sorcerer. If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card, you can add 1 Dark Vampire monster or 1 Vampire spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard. 1 Dark Vampire monster you normal summon this turn can be summoned without tributing. Got 2 Vampire Familiar. If this card is special summoned, you can pay 500 life points and add 1 Vampire monster from your deck to your hand, except Vampire Familiar. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 Vampire card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Vampire Familiar once per turn. Got 2 Vampire Retainer. If this card is special summoned, you can pay 500 life points to add 1 Vampire spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, if this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 Vampire card from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard. Special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Vampire Retainer once per turn. Got 2 Pyramid Turtle. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 zombie monster with 2000 or less defense from your deck. Got 1 Plague Spreader Zombie. If this card is in your graveyard, you can place 1 card from your hand to the top of the deck. Special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Got 2 Vampire Vamp. Once per turn, when this card or a vampire monster is normal summoned to your side of the field, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls whose attack is higher than this card. Equip it to this card. This card gains attack equal to the combined original attack of monsters equipped to it by this effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped with cards, special summon this card from the graveyard. You got 2 Vampire Red Baron. Once per turn, you can pay 1000 life points, then target 1 monster your opponent controls and 1 other vampire monster you control. Switch control of those monsters. At the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any monsters by battle, you can special summon them from the graveyard to the field, to your field. You got 2 Shadow Vampire. Cannot be used as material for Xyz summon except for the Xyz summon of a dark monster. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 1 Dark Vampire monster from your hand or deck, except Shadow Vampire, but monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of the turn except that special summoned monster. You got 2 Vampire Duke. When this card is normal summoned, you can target 1 Dark Vampire monster in your graveyard, special summon that target in face-up defense position. If this card is special summoned, you can declare 1 card type, monster, spell, or trap. Your opponent sends one of those that card type from their deck to the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Vampire Duke once per turn. This card cannot be used as Xyz material for an Xyz summon, except for the Xyz summon of a dark monster. You got 1 Vampire Scarlet Scourge. If this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you can pay 1,000 life points, then target one vampire monster in your graveyard, except Vampire Scarlet Scourge, and special summon it, but it cannot attack for the rest of the turn. You can only use this effect of Vampire Scarlet Scourge once per turn. At the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any opponent's monster, you can special summon them from the graveyards to your field. Yeah, 1 Vampire Crimson. If a monster you control would be destroyed by a battle or an opponent's card effect, you can pay 1,000 life points for each monster that would be destroyed instead. You must protect all monsters that would be destroyed if you use this effect. At the end of the battle phase, if this card destroyed any monsters by battle, you can special summon them from the graveyards to your field. Lastly, for the monsters, 1 Vampire Fraulein. When a monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. You can only use this effect of Vampire Fraulein once per turn. Once per battle, if your zombie monster battles an opponent's monster during that damage calculation, quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life. You can pay life points in multiples of 100, a maximum of 3,000. Your battling monster gains that much attack and defense during the damage calculation only. And at the end of the battle phase, if this card destroys any monsters by battle, you can special summon them from the graveyards to your field. Alright, now for the spells, you got 2 Vampire Kingdom. Zombie type monsters gain 500 attack during the damage calculation only once per turn when a card or cards is sent from your opponent's deck to the graveyard. Target one card on the field, send one dark vampire monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that target. You got 2 Vampire's Domain. Once per turn, you can pay 500 life points. During your main phase of this turn, you can normal summon one vampire monster in addition to your normal summon or set. Even if this card leaves the field, you can only gain this effect once per turn. Each time your vampire monster inflicts damage to your opponent, gain the same amount of life points. Now, 1 Overpowering Eye. Target one zombie type monster you control with 2,000 or less attack. It can attack your opponent directly this turn. You got 2 Book of Life. Special summon one zombie type monster from your graveyard. Remove from play one monster from your opponent's graveyard. 1 Call of the Mummy. Once per turn, if you control no monsters, you can special summon one zombie type monster from your hand. 1 Foolish Burial. Send one monster from your deck to the graveyard. And lastly for the spells, 3 the Monarch Stormforth. Once during this turn, if you would tribute summon a monster for a tribute summon, you can tribute one monster your opponent controls even though you do not control it. You can only activate one the Monarch Stormforth per turn. During the turn you activate this card, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. Alright, now for the traps, you got 2 Vampire's Awakening. Special summon one vampire monster from your deck, but destroy it during the end phase of this turn. You can only activate one Vampire's Awakening per turn. 3 Vampire's Domination. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while you control a vampire monster, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Then, if it was a monster, gain life points equal to the original attack of the monster. Gain life points equal to the original attack. You can only activate one Vampire Domination per turn. You got 1 Call of the Haunted. Activate this card by targeting one monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target in attack position. You can, when that monster is destroyed, destroy this card. When this card leaves the field, destroy the target. Lastly, for the main deck, you got 1 Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. Alright, now for the extra deck, we've got 1 Wind Up Zanemaster. Requires 2 level 4 monsters. This card gains 300 attack for each Xyz material attached to this card. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card to target 1 face-up monster you control. Change that face-up monster to face-down defense position, and if you do during the end phase of this turn, change it back to face-up attack position. Got 3 Crimson Knight Vampire Bram. Requires 2 level 5 monsters, zombie monsters. You can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon that target to your field, but only that monster can attack for the rest of this turn. You can only use the effect of Crimson Knight Vampire Bram once per turn. Once per turn during the standby phase of the next turn after this card you control was destroyed by an opponent's card and sent to the graveyard, special summon this card in defense position. Got 1 Crystron Amatrix. Requires 1 tuner or 1 or more non-tuners. If this card is synchro summoned, you can change all face-up special summon monsters your opponent controls to defense position. If this synchro summon card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can target 1 Crystron monster in your graveyard except a synchro monster and special summon it. Got 1 Black Rose Dragon. Requires 1 tuner or 1 or more non-tuners. When this card is synchro summoned, you can destroy all cards on the field. Once per turn, you can banish 1 plant monster from your graveyard, then target 1 defense position monster your opponent controls. Change the target to face-up attack position, and if you do, its attack becomes 0 until the end of the battle, until the end of this turn. 1 Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. Requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuners. Once per turn during either player's turn, when another level 5 or higher monster activates its effect on the field, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. Once per turn during either player's turn, when a monster's effect is activated that targets exactly 1 level 5 or higher monster on the field and no other cards, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. If this card's effect destroys a monster, this card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack until the end of this turn. And lastly, 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. Requires 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuners. Once per turn during your main phase, you can destroy all other face-up attack position monsters on the field. Monsters other than this card cannot attack during the turn you activate this effect. Alright guys, so that is my vampire deck. So tell me what you think. What did you like? What did you dislike? What would you do to improve it? Please give me some feedback in the comments. I like when you guys comment. Remember, I have 100+ budget-friendly decks. There's going to be a lot of fun content coming your way. So please make sure to like and subscribe. And most importantly, have fun!